Yeah, I think first time I came across you is when you were going in on. I think you were talking about Black Champions. I think weren't you doing like a long thread on something?
Yeah, around Black History Month. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
did like a long thread on that.
All right,
Awesome.
Sam. Whenever you're ready, man. It's
What is this?
episode
139?
139, sir.
Oh snap! I actually got it.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
We get back in the groove of doing this week after week.
I saw how somebody mentioned on Twitter that like Sheamus and Cesaro were watching TV the correct way.
Yeah.
I'll be proud. Okay, 1 second. Oh yeah, look at Sheamus and Cesaro watching TV correctly. Sam will be proud. It's funny. Alrighty, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wrasslecast. This is episode 139. I'm Samuel Kalunga, joined as always by the Don of the Wrasslecast, Mr. Don De Laurenti.
First Enzo and Cass break up, but still don't nobody want it with AJ Styles. What's up, folks? Don Delarente. Welcome to the Wrasslecast.
All right, and no, Don, I've decided to give Didi a nickname.
Oh, okay.
Based on our conversation last week. They call the Andre 3000. They call him Three Stacks, right?
Uh
So guess what I'm going to call Didi?
huh.
Three Sheets.
What's going on, Dee Dee? Shout out to her being lovely in Miami. Be safe.
I know she's listening. She's probably gonna be posting those thirst traps on the Instagram soon. You never know. Trying to find her another Kevin Bowens out there. All right. So also joining us today from Blurs Online, Mr. Metal Swift.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Now Swift, as we do with all of our all of our first time guest hosts, we like to ask them their origin story of how they first came into contact with wrestling. So go ahead.
Um, well, as a young kid, growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, my grandma was she was a big NWA Continental fan. She used to take my mom and my uncle to the Boutwell to go watch wrestling and stuff. So around like the early '90s, she was still watching like Saturday Night and stuff, and I would sit in there and watch with her. But after a while, I just stopped watching wrestling. But school wrestling became like really big and stuff. That's like 95, 96, and it was mainly WCW. So I was just like fan of wrestling, just watching it like all the time. And then that was like the time when the internet started to come along, like the late '90s and stuff, and that's when I started getting
Yeah.
into all the news and the part of the wrestling fandom like E-Feds and stuff and all that stuff. Backyard wrestling. I did all that stuff as a wrestling
Oh
fan.
wow.
So yeah,
Well,
but it was mainly through WCW.
hopefully you didn't do anything dangerous when you were doing the backyard stuff.
No, for the most part, no, no. Like the most dangerous thing was just like wrestling on like regular grass. You know what I'm saying? Like
You weren't like those kids in that backyard video
yeah.
doing hitting each other with light tubes and stuff.
No, no, like, but when I was doing it, it was like we didn't even like know about light tubes until like I was the one who got all the wrestling tapes and stuff. So I was getting like the Japanese wrestling. It's like, oh yeah, they use light tubes. Maybe we should use it. I was like, no, 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 no,
Like, come here, let me hit you with what? No.
no, no.
Hey Don, have you ever seen that one backyard wrestling video? It was like really famous for a long time.
Oh yeah, the one that was like the my buddy had just like a compilation type tape of just the craziest backyard wrestling. So yeah, the light tube stuff, the guys
Yeah.
doing sentons off of roofs and things like that. Yeah, all that stuff was on there.
There was one that was it was like the the one that's most known. It's the one that was hosted by Rob Van Dam.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one is really crazy. They do some insane things on there. And they're children. These are like 14, 15-year-olds just doing all kinds of crazy stuff to each other.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
Yeah, like when I used to get like the wrestling tapes, I used to get them out of the old Wow magazine. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Our,
Wow magazine.
you know, the magazine with the color pictures. And our video used to advertise their tapes in the back of that, and some of them was like the backyard wrestling tapes and stuff. So I used to get those. I think I got like the first two of those. I used to see that. I was like, whoa. But at the time when the internet was going on, you know, you had well, it's still going on, but the websites, some backyard promotions used to have their little websites to put up like little clips and stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
one of the wrestlers I saw for like when he was still doing backyard wrestling was like Ruckus in Maryland and stuff. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I was
those.
like, oh,
Oh, go ahead.
when I saw him, I was like, oh, I could do that. Yeah,
Those magazines, those like PWI stuff like that. They really. A 13-year-old should not be reading those just because they really break the kayfabe. Because I'm like,
yeah.
why is Yokozuna sitting with the Undertaker? What is this?
Man, one picture. I remember there was this one picture in PWI when it was going like backstage at ECW, and it was Taz like doing to Jerry's hair, like curling his hair up and shit. I was like, that's something I shouldn't see because you know Taz did everything in ECW. You know, he did the
Right.
artwork for the shirts and all that stuff, and I'm like, he's doing to Jerry's hair. Okay, well, you know what? But like Wow
Yeah.
magazine, it just kept it like kayfabe and stuff. It was like this stuff is actually happening and stuff, and you know, it's like it didn't have any of that backstage stuff in it.
Right. All right. So I guess we can get started. We only have one bit of news today. We have Mr. Mamma Mia, Tope Suicida, Mauro Ranallo has announced that he will be coming back to the WWE as the NXT commentator. So basically, him and Tom Phillips switch sides, switch trade places.
Yes, as the NXT guy on this show, I win. So now imagine those fire ass takeovers with Mauro Ronaldo calling them.
Yeah, I was thinking because like I was even commenting watching Money in the Bank. I was like, I miss Mauro.
He would have been good for that event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just good in general that they figure something out. They let him go home and take some time off and recoup, and they could restructure him and place him somewhere else instead of just losing him altogether.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, and of course,
I think it worked that
Tom
out.
Phillips is on SmackDown. As long as Tom Phillips doesn't talk about any face finishes, I think we're okay. Come on, Don. That was funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad they
Xavier Woods, Tom Phillips, and Bray Wyatt and Paige. They're all fair game.
All right, so that's. Are you going to say something, Swift?
Oh, I was about to say I'm glad that they found a place. Like they were able to get him back in because WWE is like such a big thing that it's like they could find a place for someone. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have to like, hey, okay, you want to go, you want to go. It's like maybe you should have kept him on NXT. Knowing how JBL is, but because I know a lot of people wanted to see him commentate on the main roster and stuff, but you right there next to JBL and
Right.
yeah. So
all right, so moving on to Money in the Bank. Shawty, what you drink? Let's see here. Where are my notes?
Now, before you look for your notes, we had the Say No to Pre-shows. #tag. Shout out to Didi Jonay. As we had the Colognes versus the Hype Bros. And Zack Ryder, he's back. Like I said, he's got a fresh bottle of shoe polish in his beard. Him and Zack Ryder, they hit the Hype Rider, and they get the win. So they switched up the. There's always the notion that says, card subject to change. So they switched up the pre-show match. This was supposed to be the Fashion Police versus the Colognes, but they snuck in the Hype Bros on us the last minute. So
I do like how Epico was mocking Ryder when he started doing the woo, woo, woo. Okay, so Money in the Bank main show. You know what? The show was fun, but looking back, like watching the second time, it wasn't very good. But I had fun. I think part of the fun I had was doing the live tweet. So I think
Oh,
they kind of blurred it for me for a bit. But yeah, this show is not good at all. Just like the main event was good, and that was it.
Well, I think as we talk about it, I think the booking might have had something to do with it.
All right, so we have the women's Money in the Bank. We have Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch versus Tamina versus Carmella with James Ellsworth and versus Natalia. So they didn't do as much dangerous spots as like the men would. I mean, obviously they're not going to let them do that, but they flopped around a bit. They did their thing. It was actually getting pretty exciting for a minute. Tamina, to me, she looked really weird. She looked really bad. I don't know. She's not really. I don't know. She's got the whole Nia Jax thing going on now, and it's just not good.
I thought she looked great in the beginning because she just wrecked shop on everybody. They kind of gave her the knock everybody down in the beginning spot, and I thought she handled it well.
Yeah.
You know what? Don's right. That's how like that's when she's at her best. Really, it's like not really like in the mix of stuff, but when she's like the wrecking ball, everybody else doing that stuff, then she just like shuts down shop.
She
But
was missing a bunch of spots. I noticed that, and she was just botchy.
yeah.
Okay, so towards the end, everyone brawls. Natalia clears the ring and had her fingertips on the briefcase before Flair yanked her off the ladder. More stuff happened. Lynch seemed to be closing in on the victory when James Ellsworth pushed her off the ladder. He saw that Carmella was down. He looked at Carmella. He looked at the briefcase. He decided, I'm going to go for it. He unhooked the briefcase, gave it to Carmella, and the referees complained and argued over who won. And her music just started playing. And so basically what everybody else is saying, first ever Women's in the Bank ladder match was won by a man.
Yeah, the Glow was not happy.
Yeah, and then it was funny, like Triple H like mentioned on Twitter that this was not like, this was not a good thing, this was bad. But he is trying to confirm, no, he has not confirmed whether or not James Ellsworth is 100% a man.
I think everybody expected him to do something. I don't think anybody expected him to actually do this.
I think everyone expected him to take a big bump, to take the big bump. That's what they wanted. That's what everyone thought he was going to do.
Right. Now, from just a company, as a WWE company, and like, hey, guess what? We gotta get ratings and build the story. I popped big because I saw exactly what was happening once he decided to give up there. Like, ooh, that's gonna get them heat. That's gonna be. But then, from just a hey statement, this is built up to be such a big historical thing. Then it's like, oh man, they really messed up though, because there's a whole lot of women fans out there who have been looking forward to something like this forever, and they were pissed.
Yeah, like if they would have did this, like let's say a year from now when they decide like, oh yeah, we're gonna do another women's Money in the Bank or something like that. It's like, okay, you did the historical one, and you had like a clean win, but then the following year it's like, okay, now we're back to business at WWE. Here we need that heat and stuff. I don't think anyone would be angry if it was a year later, but since this was like the first ever, yeah.
Yeah, so
I could see people being annoyed.
Yeah, so that's maybe another example where they need a little bit more quality control, and maybe like a Sarah Del Rey or somebody needs to come up and be a part of the agents when it comes to like these big first time matches for the women, so they can actually get their shine and not have this type of booking interfere with it, because this really like set the tone for the whole show, and everybody was just kind of like,
yeah, right. So just be glad it didn't happen during March, which was National Women's History Month. I'm just saying.
And I mean, like, if they would, well, I was gonna say if they would have did that, like you said, during Women's History Month, and the whole thing was Ellsworth was just like, I don't know, kind of like I think it was Sam who mentioned it with downtown Bruno. You know what I'm saying? Like in Memphis when he was like just on Miss Texas case the whole time over that women's title. So, you know, if they would have like ran that during like women's, I mean, that would have been like.
Yeah, I remember that. No, it was in WWE. It was like around 02 or 03 or something. He had actually won the women's title.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember he was doing that in Memphis too. Now, like he was just like.
Yeah, that's probably where they got it. Well, they probably got it from his time in Memphis.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had won it, and then he was like, "No woman can beat me" or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like Jacqueline came out and just squashed him. She gave him a slam, an elbow drop, and just pinned him, and that was it. That was the end of that. I forgot how he won it. Though he must have he won it with some shenanigans or something. I forgot, but yeah. But yeah, it's like some Andy Kaufman type stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I keep losing my notes. Where are my notes? Here they are. All right, so the next match was the misbehaved teenagers versus the New Day, aka the Usos versus the New Day. I mean, like I like
Usos.
I like them as heels. Like they look good. I mean, they look menacing stuff. But part of me still thinks that they're like like teenagers that like if Medea would get a hold of one of them and just spank him or something. They kind of got that feel to me. Like I don't feel threatened by any of them. It's just some badass kids, you know. But I do like their look. It's just not threatening to me at all.
I think it's that they haven't put on that Samoan weight yet. So.
Right.
Because you remember, who was it? Fatu and Samu. They were thinner, like in the late '80s and stuff. Then by the early '90s, they just put on like a ton of weight and shit. So.
Right.
But to your point, Sam, who is scary as a heel today? Hacksaw Jim Duggan was making a point that back in the day, Kamala, Undertaker, there were guys that you were really afraid of that kids, back in the day, kids would always run up to the rail to get their hand touched by the babyface. But then when somebody like that came out, all the kids would run away. Well, that doesn't happen now. The heels come out, they're more popular than some baby faces.
I would not want to see Braun Strowman in a dark alley. Come on.
No, he's not scary. I'm not scared of Braun Strowman.
If
I was a kid, I would not be scared of Braun.
If I saw the Usos in the dark alley, I'd be like, what y'all supposed to be, thugs or something? Out of here.
You got a point, because Usos seem like someone I went to high school with, so it's like.
Yeah, I remember. Like I was a kid, and these two kids got on the bus wearing all red, and so like I yelled from the back of the bus, "What y'all supposed to be, Bloods or something?" And everybody just cracked up, and they looked so embarrassed. That's what the Usos remind me of. Those kids trying to be thugs.
That they were like brightly colored high flyers just like a few months ago either.
Yeah, that does nothing for them. They did nothing for them at all. God. Okay, so
but the match itself was like really fun though. So
I don't remember too much of the match.
You know what? That was that and the Money in the Bank were like the two matches I went back and rewatched, and the main thing I remember from was that I enjoyed the pace of the match really, like the near falls and all that, and I enjoyed it was like in the middle, and then it built up to like a more frantic pace and stuff. That's what I liked about that match. It wasn't like it wasn't plotting, and it wasn't like everybody trying to get their shit in at one time. So it was like right there in the middle.
So the Usos retained by just walking out, and the New Day wins by count out. So
hey, Vince McMahon taking it back to the old school finishes, the '80s finishes for TV.
And I like the finish. I actually like the finish. I was like, just get your stuff and leave.
A little too hot in the kitchen putting the old Tully Blanchard.
Yeah. Know the rule book. Know the rule book. You do not have to beat the champion. You could walk off with your stuff.
So Naomi versus Lana, SmackDown Women's Championship. I was actually for a second I was actually worried, but then I remembered the lightning can't strike twice. Jinder Mahal can't win the title twice, and that's what would have happened here. Then yeah, well, Lana needs a lot of work in the ring, and it kind of showed just because like both ladies were really out of sync. Like Naomi was trying to do her thing, but then it was kind of just those two did not pair up well, and it's mostly because Lana is just so green.
Yeah, it's timing. Timing is the thing. See, this is what I don't understand.
We can both look bad, to be honest.
This is what I said. What they should do is, instead of what we'll talk about later on SmackDown, is have Lana wrestle on TV for the next 2 months. That would be 8 matches, and just find 8 jobbers. And every week she gets a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and you get to watch it happen. And then in 2 months, then when you say, okay, Lana's been beating people, then she comes out there, she's feeling all good about herself, then she wants to challenge somebody, then it's worth a damn. Because, okay, yeah, you know what? Lana's gotten better. She might be able to beat such and such, whoever they want to put it. But the way that they have it going now is like, nah, she has no credibility against anybody. I don't care who they put her in there with.
I think the draw of this though was that could it happen again? Could the nobody come out of nowhere and just like shock everyone? They just wanted the shock of it all. That's why this match existed.
Right. But here's my thing though, like if they don't have anything for the champion, they didn't have anything for Brock Lesnar. Guess what? They kept him off everything for
like Naomi didn't have to wrestle. Like,
right, she didn't have to wrestle, so don't make her. You know what I'm saying? Put her on commentary for the ladder in the Money in the Bank women's ladder match.
Yeah, I would have rather seen that. Like watching her comment on like, oh, so and so is gonna have to come get me or whatever. I'll snatch them bald or whatever.
Yeah, use that time for promos and commentary to enhance her being the champion instead of forcing her to wrestle a match that she could have got hurt in by wrestling somebody who wasn't up to her level.
Okay, so here's something dumb there's something really dumb.
As I'll take over now. I don't know what Sam was about to say, but I think the internet gods got him. Because I think you might have been getting ready to talk bad about the Fashion Files. But yeah, they had a Fashion Files that was pretty cool. Okay, Sam, you're back. The internet got you because you were about to talk bad about something or someone. Oh, see? Still not letting them be great.
Nope.
What did you think about this Fashion Files? Are you into the Fashion Files? Is it something that you like?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it when I watched it. It's like because it's like with WWE television, I haven't been catching it regularly, except for like the pay-per-views and stuff. So I sat down and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is something I can get into. You know what I'm saying? So
okay, I hear you guys now. Okay, where did we leave off?
We were talking. We just got through talking about Lana and Naomi, and you were about to say something bad about somebody, and then the internet stepped in.
Okay. So Carmella's tease cash in was kind of dumb, only for this reason. Now, Don, you win a Money in the Bank you win a title shot by controversy, right?
Mm-hmm.
At any moment the next night, they could take it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing this, what would you do? You would try to cash in, right?
I would try to cash it in. That's right.
She didn't. She just teased it. She was just like, "Oh well, whatever."
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's not her fault. It's the writers, but that's really bad writing.
Mm-hmm. Right. But it's really like, okay, because once you cash it in, you don't get the briefcase anymore, and then everything
she could get it taken away from her tomorrow, or
right. Whatever. But again, this is a show where they wrote the pay-per-view to enhance TV and not.
Yeah, that was really stupid. Like it used to be the other way around.
Yeah, that's not the way they did it this time. So
I think the same person who wrote that she come out with the Money in the Bank briefcase and not use it is someone who like probably the same person said Naomi got to defend her title because we still have a 30-day title defense clause in WWE, and it's like, really? You know, it's probably the exact same person. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you know, probably Michael Hayes or someone. Like, we still got that 30-day. You got to come. You got to defend the title. Yeah, that's bad. We messed up twice in this particular time frame here. You know what I'm saying? But whatever.
Right.
Can't win them all.
What did y'all think of Lana Sit Out Spinebuster?
It's a start. That's probably the most impressive thing she's got going for herself right now, as far as in-ring ability. So she needs to, at least she's got to finish that. Looks impressive. So she's got something to start from.
Okay, so yeah. So now is this when we do the fashion files or whatever?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so yeah, Fandango and the other guy, Tyler Breeze, they're backstage and they get a tape. A tape arrives. It's by these two shadowy figures are like, "Oh, we're coming for you," or whatever.
Okay. Perk board was fantastic as always. They had Arn Anderson on it this time. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so we go from something 80s to something more 80s with that theme music. That was like some kind of 80s metal hair band ballad or something. It was like so weird. I was like, what is this? So there's hearts on the floor, and we have the return. What has it been now? 10 years? Almost 10 years that she's been there?
8.
8?
8 years, yeah.
I thought it was longer than that. Yeah, so Maria had arrived, and she has Mr. Mike Bennett, or Mr. Mike Kanellis, as we're told here. The one thing that kind of didn't really rub me the wrong way, just kind of like bugged me a little bit, was that she called herself, where she said that the first lady has returned. She was never known as a first lady, and that was an ROH thing.
Yeah.
And also something that she carried over to TNA. She was never known, but I guess I guess people know who AJ Styles was.
Modern day wrestling. She's speaking for the modern day fan who's.
It's not really a big. ROH. It's not really a big deal, but it's just like
a
little bit, slightly, a tiny bit.
But you got to remember, they're probably thinking about, nobody really. The margins of people who remember me from 8 years ago are probably very small. So there's a lot of people who may remember me from Impact and ROH as the first lady. So let's just go with that.
Yeah. It bothered me. So anyway, they were announced as Mike and Maria Kanellis, and this part to me kind of said that, like, are they mocking Cody and Brandy Rhodes? Like the naming, the way that the naming thing goes or whatever. Part of me kind of thought that. I don't know. So she comes down and she says that, like, she's here, and of course they're doing they're playing it up. Don, you don't watch TNA, so I'm going to fill you in. This was basically their characters in TNA. Mike Bennett was really, really smitten with Maria. And that's kind of how they're doing it here. Swift, do you watch TNA at all?
No.
Okay, well, yeah.
I was watching it a while ago.
Yeah, that's basically what this is. It's the same characters. So, yeah, so they smooched and then departed. So hopefully they get a little... I wonder if she's actually going to participate with the women, or if she's just going to come out and do her own thing.
She's probably gonna do it because I don't. I was about to say I don't know if she's like. You talking about like participate with the women as in the ring?
Is she gonna do in ring stuff, or is it basically gonna be Mike Bennett? I'm sorry, Mike Kanellis.
I don't know. Has she been wrestling in Ring of Honor?
No, she was mostly just like. I mean, she wrestles sometimes, but she was mostly just like the mouthpiece for the Kingdom.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm gonna say,
and in TNA, she basically had stooges do her wrestling for her.
I figured. I remember her in like TNA like a while ago, but I hadn't like seen her like anything recent with her in TNA.
Yeah, she had like this whole thing with like Laurel Van Ness and like some other girl, and I think for a while she was like managing the Dollhouse or something. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't put her in the ring, because when she left WWE, she wasn't,
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're gonna want to do there, but shoot.
I know what I want to do in there. Okay, so yeah, so he did that. That was really cool. Okay, so Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. Um, so before that, they introduced St. Louis legends: Larry Henning, Sergeant Slaughter, Greg fucking Gagne. I'm like, wait, he's a legend? But whatever.
A lot of it was like AWA legends. Like,
Yeah, I think these guys like may have wrestled once or twice in St. Louis, but like I don't think
that's what they.
I don't think these are St. Louis legends.
Well, you have to remember that
Oh, they want
back in
people
the
above
day,
ground. Yeah.
back in the day, St. Louis wasn't really a territory. All they did was it was a territory, but they didn't have like a base of their own wrestlers. So all they did was bring in people from everywhere. So it was just basically stars versus stars. It was like the
Yeah,
biggest drawing places you could go and see like, you know, somebody that was big in Florida wrestled somebody who was big in Texas. They were wrestling in St. Louis. That was
exactly.
kind
So
of like the
basically, they could
neutral
have just
ground.
had anybody out there and just said, "Oh, he's a St. Louis legend."
I don't
And
know,
to a
cause
point,
yeah, they had
to
to
a
have
point,
gone through there like regularly, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Like the most
right.
regular person they would have had if they could have got him was Harley Race, who was based out of St. Louis.
Right, but Harley was he's got two broken legs because he fell
Yeah,
in his home. So that's the reason why Ric Flair was there. I would assume that Ric Flair was taking Harley Race's spot because
hmm,
Ric Flair won his first title in St. Louis.
yeah,
Okay, so stuff happened. Uh, Randy Orton, and it was a match, and people watched. Let's see here. Oh
Brothers
yeah,
put
so I
Jinder's
think
foot on the bottom rope.
yeah they did that after RKO, and then the referee is gonna have them removed, but then somehow they managed to stay.
Yeah,
Uh,
they just doubled back. They acted like they were going to walk out after they got tossed out,
okay,
and
they
then
just
they
came
doubled
back
back.
around. Yeah,
Yeah,
they do that, and they start hatching a plan. They whisper in each other's ears, and they go and mess with Bob Orton. And of course, Randy came to the rescue. He beat both men. He actually flipped the other one again, like he did last time.
mm-hmm.
And
But
so
he
as
didn't
he
land on his neck this time, though.
so he comes in, I think no wait. So at one point he hit an RKO out of somewhere. Usually he hits it out of nowhere. This one he straight up saw him coming. So he gets back in the ring. Jinder Mahal hits his finish, and we he gets the victory for the 3 count clean win. Oh, I don't know. Is it a clean win? I mean, is this a distraction? What is this?
He didn't necessarily use the word distraction, but yes, Randy Orton was preoccupied with the Singh brothers. And
hmm,
then when he turned his attention back to Jinder Mahal, he got. So take your drinks out there.
Right.
The Singh brothers, I will say this. They always look fresh to death, like they ready to step out to the club after the matches are over. And they probably do, except for the nights where Randy Orton is involved. And they need to invest in some helmets and shoulder pads because he'd be tossing their ass around.
yeah.
Right. I did like how Jinder Mahal put Randy Orton in the figure 4. That was funny.
Yeah, Randy Jinder needs to for the most part he was good, but he needs to lay his shit in a little bit more, snug it up, and wrestle like the champion. And you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, realize that yo man, you got to do main event style now. This isn't the mid card where you can get
Yeah,
away with those weak kicks and shit.
he's still wrestling like a member of 3MB or something.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like he's bringing his B material, you know. So
He's funny, man. So let's see, Breezango and against the mystery team. Who is it? It's fucking Connor and Victor. And I don't, is it Connor or is it Victor? One of them gained like 300 pounds in the 6 months that we haven't seen him.
Is the one who was already close to 300 pounds? Yes.
I don't remember him being that big though.
We haven't seen him in so long,
Yeah.
so I think it's just the lack of not having him in your consciousness.
That's why I was like, wait a minute, like is he the one that got fired and they replaced him secretly with some other dude?
You know,
Some
that's what I
big
thought
dude.
happened. Like, you know, kind of like they did Demolition. You know, they just like replaced the member of Demolition or
Oh
some
yeah,
shit.
yeah. That was really odd. So,
But when I saw
so
when they used the tape, when they put the tape in and they just like did like the silhouettes and they were talking, I was like, oh man, please let them have brought back Black Scorpion as a tag team, man. 'Cause
I honestly thought it was. I honestly thought it was the Authors of Pain.
oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah. So they actually do have something going for them here. They actually don't use comedy in this match, as opposed to the last match, where fucking Tyler Breeze came out dressed as grandma or whatever. That's really stupid. So yeah, Breezango pretty much just cleans house here. So this all led to nothing, pretty much, just like a stupid match. How long? How
Just
long? How
inside.
long was this going on?
What the Ascension thing?
Yeah, how long? How long were they messing with them?
Oh, apparently for like 2 weeks it seems.
Okay, so this hasn't been going on for months and months because that,
No,
that would
no,
be
no,
that
no,
would
no,
be a
no.
really really shitty payoff.
No, just the Fashion Police. The little vignettes have been going on for the past month.
Yeah, very underwhelming. But the lead up was entertaining. But
Well, it wasn't meant to be anything other than palate cleanser, man.
Yeah.
Get you
yeah.
from the championship match to the Money in the Bank match. You got to have a little something in between there to,
No, I'm not talking about the placement of the match or anything. I'm just saying all of this was done just for like a nothing match against the Ascension.
Well, it was just to get the Fashion Police on the show. See, that's the thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? They want to try to get everybody on the show, and sometimes everybody doesn't need to be on the show.
Yeah,
True.
If you're just gonna put them on there for the sake of just putting them on the show, then leave them out.
yeah. Just like back in the day, not everybody wrestled WrestleMania. You had to be like,
Hmm.
you had to earn a WrestleMania match. You don't have to like just like the women's matches now. Each one is like a weird 5-way. Like, why do you have to have everybody wrestle it all at the same time?
You know
That's
what?
because they haven't figured out how to integrate all the women and have them each have like have 2 or 3 programs going at one time. It's like, nope, we can only have one women's program going at a time.
Hmm.
It has to be everybody against everybody. Okay, so Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and Nakamura and Corbin. So Corbin blindsides Nakamura, as he makes his entrance, which makes me wonder, or makes me realize that Corbin was going to be the last man out. Owens and Zayn brawled outside the ring. Corbin win after everyone. Chaos marked the bout as Owens attacked Styles and Corbin took down Ziggler. Zayn, Styles, Corbin, and Ziggler all looked to be moments away from winning at different points, but their foes got in the way each time. One of the coolest matches, like now, did I just see things, or did AJ Styles really give Kevin Owens a DVD onto a ladder, or was it
That
something
really,
else?
no, that really happened to her. He gave him the Death
Okay,
Valley Driver
because
onto
because
the.
they didn't replay it. I was looking for a replay, but they never did. So and I was like,
Yeah,
did I imagine that?
no, it was he made they had the ladder bridge set up from
Hmm.
the ring to the announce table, and yeah, he set him up.
Someone made a compilation GIF of all of the big bumps that Owens takes in ladder matches, and they added that one to it, and it was just, man, that dude really bumps in ladders.
Yeah,
Let's see.
ladders, chair things he set up himself. You know, yeah.
Well, anybody who sets something up is gonna go through it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the rules in WWE.
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, I set up this burning table, hope I don't go through it.
Okay, I did like when like AJ Styles was left hanging by a wire.
Oh man, that cracked me up, and I'm like,
And then everybody
Man,
started coming out with the memes.
I thought he freaking tore his shoulder up at the least. Because man, that fall
I think
was
Owens
huge.
was the one who actually. I think Owens got injured.
Yeah, they say he hurt his hip, his leg a little bit, but AJ Styles said he thought he broke a rib at
So
first, but
so
luckily he was okay.
so the match comes to the climax
that's
when
good.
has Corbin has a clear way to the briefcase. He climbs up the ladder, but then he's distracted by music. Nakamura actually comes back after being laid out at the beginning, and my only question is, why didn't Corbin just grab the briefcase? But whatever. We're not here for logic. We're here to watch two dudes go at it. So then he comes down and he goes after Corbin. Eventually, AJ Styles gets in the ring. AJ and Nakamura stare each other down through the ladder. They move the ladder out of the way and just go at. They go at it, and that was probably like the best thing I've seen all year.
You mean in WWE, sir?
Yeah. Well, you have to keep in mind I haven't really watched anything else.
Oh, you've been so cheated. If this was the best thing you've seen this year.
Well, I'm not. I don't really do Omega. I mean, I like the guy. I'm not a mark for him like some people on this show.
Oh my!
Well, he's only the second best wrestler in the world, sir.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this was pretty cool to see this happen in Vince McMahon's ring, and the crowd was definitely there for it. And hopefully, Vince can.
Oh no! We're seeing this at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. That fast, huh?
I guarantee you, this is a SummerSlam match.
We might see it at SummerSlam. We might see it again. We might see two at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I was getting reminders of Wrestle Kingdom 10 when this happened. So so those two fight it out. Eventually, Corbin does reach up and grab it. So yeah, just as I predicted, Warren Corbin wins, and he's your new Mr. Money in the Bank. Hopefully, he can hold on to it for a while because he really does need some more seasoning.
Mm-hmm.
This will allow him to be a dick and a badass with this briefcase.
He finally stopped bringing that chocolate statue with him.
Well, Mojo Rawley has it now. It's not in his possession.
Oh yeah. Well, he has a chocolate. Oh yeah, that's why. And does Mojo Rawley bring out he ate the chocolate statue? That's why. That's why Mojo Rawley doesn't bring it out.
But yeah, so Baron Corbin, man, he's been getting better, and he's been in the main event mix for like the last 5 months. So his wrestling has gotten a lot better too because he's been wrestling AJ Styles and all these top guys. So yeah, hopefully, he'll be able to represent the Money in the Bank and eventually grow into getting his little championship run.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that was Money in the Bank. Not as good as past years, but yeah. I mean, it was fun. Like I said, it was fun watching it and participating in the live tweet.
Yeah. The live tweet really made it fun. Because I was like, man, I haven't watched like a lot of WWE. I was like, okay, I guess I watched the pay-per-view, and I was like, oh, okay. I might just start watching WWE more often now if we're gonna. If this is how y'all do it.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who came out to one of our favorite hashtag live tweets, the MoneyCast holds. A lot of people really love that hashtag. Yes. So thanks to everybody who came out and shared their commentary with color.
Okay, so now we move on to
before we go to Raw. I mean, we're going to Raw next?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to say something about Money in the Bank. There's a lot of people out there upset that Baron Corbin won. And I'm like, we have like 9 months between when he won the belt to when he won Money in the Bank to WrestleMania roughly. That means there's 9 title shots for someone else.
All right.
And then, WWE is going to have, SmackDown is going to have that mandatory multiple people in one match title shot. So it's like, it's not like a lot of people who are upset. It's just like, I got this mutual, on Twitter who was like extremely upset that Baron Corbin won.
Oh yeah, there were people that were pissed.
Yeah, and I'm like, months in between now and WrestleMania, people are going to get plenty of title shots. It's not like WWE enforced this law that if you win Money in the Bank, there's no more title shots until this guy cashes it in. No more title shots. No, it's not that in WWE. It's like simmer down, man. But people are were really upset about it.
Yeah, because I don't know, because everybody has their faves. That's why.
Yeah, I know. Everybody has their fave, but it's like it's Money in the Bank, man. It's like to a degree, Money in Bank doesn't matter for real. Months for you to get in, you got to get that mandatory title shot that month in. It's like it doesn't really matter, you know what I'm saying? It's like it matters leading into WrestleMania, but the champion could change at any time in that period. It could change several times during that period. But nah,
Right.
people are like super pissed. Like, oh man, what has Baron Corbin done? He hasn't won a mid card title. I'm like, man, don't set that shit up.
I think that I was putting that on Twitter today that that's the problem. Back in the day, you used to go on the journey. So Bret Hart went from opening match
Yes, I saw
to
that. Yeah.
mid card to Intercontinental Champion. Well, from tag team champion, then he got out of the tag team from the preliminaries to the tag team champion. Then he got out of the tag teams, and then he kind of struggled in the singles a little bit, and then he became the Intercontinental Champion, and then he went from Intercontinental Champion, and then he kind of ventured into the World Champion picture. So you took that ride, so you saw them go there. I think that's what people are missing now. It's just all of a sudden, one day, all of a sudden, Baron Corbin deserves to get a title shot, and you're like, well, I didn't see him go
I didn't see him
from
do anything. Yeah.
new guy on the scene and build his way up to title contender. And I think that that's what they need to get back to. Is it's fine to earmark this guy or this particular woman, but take them, let them start at the bottom, and then take the people on the ride with them. And so when you get them to where you want them to be, everybody's like, yeah, we down with such and such, or we understand why heel A is getting his title shot now, because he's, went from, if Jinder goes from doing jobs to all of a sudden he wins the IC title, to all of a sudden now he wins a whole bunch of other matches, and all of a sudden he gets this collision course from Randy Orton, then more people can dig it. But just to go from, he lost to Mojo Rawley and Rob Gronkowski at WrestleMania to now 6 weeks later he's the champion. What the hell?
Yeah, and it's like, and like you mentioned, like the journey, like, and Bret Hart is a great example because also in that period, you had like different like kind of like milestone matches. Like you might not have won Royal Rumble, but you had a good showing in Royal Rumble. You might have won King of the Ring, or you might have been a finalist in King of the Ring, and it makes you look like someone legit. You know what I'm saying? Like someone to look out for in the coming year and stuff. And a lot of that stuff is kind of missing out. And you throw in that back then you only had like 4 or 5 pay-per-views, so title matches were like a little longer as well. But
yeah, like you
but
see,
they have
go
but
ahead.
they have so much TV now. It seems like it would be so much easier and a more logical thing. And they have a performance center full of people who would love to get on TV and get beat. So it seems like I say this like every other month, but it seems like that it would just be easier for them to do that and produce TV and give you a big match every other month. Like give you that Roman Joe match that was on Raw. They give you one match like that every other month, and then spend the other 6 weeks just having guys beat jobbers and give interviews, use secondary finishes and win matches. That, you know what I'm saying? And build it and build it and build it and build it. And then like, oh, you know what? Good Brothers, they got like 4 wins in a row. Oh, this tag team has 4 wins in a row. And then all of a sudden now when they start wrestling each other to figure out who gets a title shot, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I get behind it.
Yeah. And then another thing about those jobber matches, it's something that WWE's done for like, shit, I'm gonna say like a decade now. When you have like, a mid card match that is kind of decent, right? And they do this thing where they just, they just talk about other shit over the mid card match. Whereas back then you would have did that over this squash match. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the squash match doesn't matter if it's Val Venus versus, Joe whatever from
Brooklyn Brawler,
married at Georgia. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's like, you could talk about Austin Rock, over that match, as opposed to talking about it, like talking about this main event match, or a tag team title match or something. Like, I don't know, man. It's like some title match. I think it should just be the title match. You're just talking about the title match or that no one contender match, as opposed to matches going on tonight. It's like, I've never liked that in WWE television, and WCW used to do that as well. So it's just something that always bothered me.
Right.
But yeah, Yeah, it'd be nice to get back to that whole that journey to get invested in wrestlers and stuff. But
You see, like I would have accepted Ginger more if you had actually won Money in the Bank, and then took that long journey to getting his actual title shot instead of just like I don't know where.
yeah, because it's like they're kind of flirting dangerously with the whole hot shot in the title that they used to do during the Attitude Era, but they're not exactly like going full on hot shot in the title. So it's like I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, they used to do that a lot with X-Pac and D'Lo Brown. The title used to hot potato back and forth between them. The European title
Yeah,
was like hot potato, but between them, like that title would change hands like almost every month.
yeah, they used to do that in during the Attitude Era with the world title too. Like some want to hold it for like over a month and then they'll lose it. You know what I'm saying?
Like it was. Yeah, I remember around that time, around 2000 or so, it was like you could actually count like on the calendar. They would hold it for 3 months. They would hold the title for 3 months. They would win it at WrestleMania, lose it by King of the Ring or something.
Yeah, and sometimes they just lose it on Raw, and it's like, oh,
Just out of nowhere, yeah.
So
yeah, so yeah.
Shoot, I think Foley won his first belt on like a Heat.
It was his first belt was on. It was on Raw.
Oh, it was on Raw. Okay.
It was the infamous that'll put butts in seats.
That's right.
They're gonna put their world championship on Mankind, aka Mick Foley. He was once known as Cactus Jack here. That'll put butts in seats. And all he did was just give them the greatest freaking promotion they ever had.
Yep.
Nobody was really. People were watching Raw, but they weren't really like full on WWE. But until that night, right there.
Right.
No, I got a perfect example. Mankind wins the title at SummerSlam '99. Triple H wins it from him the very next night for his first title.
Yeah. Shoot, you also had Kane losing the belt.
Oh, that was when he won it from Austin in the King of the Ring. Yeah. That was the next night, wasn't it? He lost to Austin, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost like this. Yeah, the next night and stuff. It was like. And it wasn't like they just had like a regular, like a singles regulation match or whatever.
Yeah, but you have to remember that they had a stipulation on that match that they couldn't actually pay off. The stipulation was if he didn't win the title, he set himself on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I remember because I was watching and I was like, do it.
Yeah, they couldn't actually kill a man on television.
Yeah. But I don't know, man.
But,
the thing about Austin matches back then is that every match kind of turned into a no disqualification match with Austin. Like the ref just like was very lax.
Yeah, I also noticed that as well.
Yeah, like my brother and I were watching. It was like, oh yeah, Austin's gonna finally get disqualified. And it was like, no, he's out here choking someone with a cord, and the ref was like, hey, you stop that, Austin. It's like disqualify him, man. This match has disqualification in it, man. Every match turned to like a no disqualification match with Austin.
You cut that out, Steve Austin.
Stop choking her with that cord. Always the camera cord too, man. It's like so you're not gonna throw this match out. Okay, that's cool. Okay.
All right. Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns comes out to cut a boring 20-minute promo. He cuts a very heelish promo talking about how it's about he can't be beaten one-on-one. He main evented his third WrestleMania in a row, and he also retired The Undertaker. He appoints himself #1 contender for SummerSlam because this is his yard. Joey Samoa comes out. He says he is the true #1 contender and the next Universal Champion. Roman says he agrees with Paul Heyman and says that he'll always be just Joe to him. Joe headbutts Roman, and the two begin the brawl. Joe gets the upper hand, tries to put the clutch on Roman, but Roman makes a big comeback to a chorus of boos. Okay, so Hardy Boys versus Gallows and Anderson. Sheamus and Cesaro are actually watching the match on the monitors correctly, the way you're supposed to, by facing the television screens. Because Swift, you haven't really been watching lately, but they have people now with their backs to the TV, looking over their shoulders at the TV.
Yeah, that's not how you watch.
No human being on earth watches TV that way.
Unless they just have like a bunch of monitors backstage and stuff, which is still kind of odd, just like okay, we got this huge TV right here, but then we got one like above the door, and they're looking at the one above the door.
Right.
That's I don't know.
Okay, so Michael Cole mentions that Sheamus and Cesaro call themselves the Bar because they are the standard bearers, and Booker T once again breaking. Booker T always says like the most ridiculous things. He notices that Cesaro has a drink, and he's like, "Oh, the bar is open." And then Graves corrects him and says, "That's actually Gatorade." I thought that was funny. The rest of the match was easily forgettable. Jeff wins with a swanton. So a Goldust promo.
Hold on. We almost saw the end of Jeff Hardy.
Well, how?
Because he almost got caught up and snapped his neck on the rope when he did the twist of fate.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, man. The whisper, the whisper in the wind that he does. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he almost fucked himself up.
Oh man,
you can tell that like the schedule and the amount of matches he's wrestling is starting to fatigue him out because he's not getting as much height and clearance on his moves, his high flying moves, as he was when they first came back. So
yeah, that being away at TNA where you don't like. You're not on that same schedule. You're on like a super reduced schedule and like taking indie dates when whenever it's like you got to get back in the flow of things and
yeah, TNA to them was basically like when the substitute teacher takes over for a month.
Yeah, it's like the substitute teacher was here for like 10 years. Yeah,
yeah, and then like now the teacher's back, and now they're like, oh crap, we actually have to do work. So, a Goldust promo. He invites R-Truth next week to the debut of his next motion picture, Shatter Truth. So, did he just challenge him to a match? Is that what this is? Because I was very confused.
I don't know if it's going to be a match. It looks like it just may be like another promo, but maybe one in front of the crowd this time. I don't think it's going to be a match. But it may be. But they didn't promote it like it was going to be a match.
Okay, the goddamn Drifter is in the ring.
It was a good promo, though.
Yeah, it was. The crowd begins to what him. He starts to sing his stupid song. And luckily for all of us, Finn Balor comes out to save us all. Finn stares him down for a second.
Fantastic. The Drifter's fantastic.
No, he's not. Finn stares him down for a second, and then the goddamn Drifter gives him the stage because he has a match against Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas versus Finn Balor. He's grown his hair out and is wearing a singlet. But is he the same scrub? We'll find out. The two actually have a competitive match. Finn Balor wins, of course, because he is Finn Balor, and Bo Dallas is just Bo Dallas.
Now, Bo Dallas was super aggressive, though. He was tossing them into barricades.
They were actually having a competitive match, yeah.
Yeah, he was booting them. So, yeah, Bo Dallas got some things in.
He wasn't going to win, though. Come on.
Swift, what do you feel about the Drifter, man?
You know what? The Drifter kind of reminds me of if you put Honky Tonk Man and Jeff Jarrett together, all he needs to do is like do like a modern version of "With My Baby Tonight," and I would be like sold on him. I'm like 50% sold on him. Like if he just keeps coming out with a guitar and doing like
every time I see him, he looks like Damien Sandow to me, like his beard and stuff.
Yeah.
The moment, I don't know who's gonna get it, but he'll be over the moment somebody gets the business in of one of those guitars.
Yeah. Someone's gonna get popular with that guitar, man.
Hopefully, they can take it away from him and hit him with it. That would be great.
That would be a negative, sir.
Dean Ambrose can do it.
It would be his luck that someone takes it from him and hit him with it, but they hit him with the wrong end. The end that's not gonna break. It's like, oh man. Then you got to flip it over and hit him. It's like, oh man, this is pain. Oh,
it's like that time that like I don't know if it was Roddy Piper or somebody got a picture frame and hit like Heath Slater with it, but it was an actual real picture frame. Like he was just like all kinds of split open. Let's see. WWE 2K18 trailer. Seth Rollins is going to be the cover guy. That means he'll probably be in the main event. So look out for that. Kurt Angle and Corey Graves confront Enzo and Cass backstage about Enzo sending tweets or something. I don't know. Cass wants to know where they are with the people who attacked them. Cass says he knows for a fact that it was Big Show. Seth Rollins comes down. He talks about feeling remorseful and apologizes for his time with the Authority. He mentions all the material possessions he had while with the Authority. But then the stupid-ass crowd starts chanting, "You deserve it." Just killing his promo.
Because it seemed like it was a promo that was more like a commercial for the video game, like another commercial.
I'm talking about the part where he's talking about like where he's feeling remorse for just going after material gains. And the crowd was basically chanting, "You deserve those material gains." I'm like, dude, you're killing his promo. Let him talk.
What did y'all think about the actual commercial, though?
The commercial was cool. Well, I have to look at the damn thing.
I actually enjoyed it.
So my thing is, if he's in there and their premise is, he's going through there desecrating, setting ablaze all the artifacts and the history.
Something very heelish while he's a baby.
Of the business. Does that mean that they're not going to rely on the legends this year or WrestleMania?
Oh, Don. Of course. They're going to use legends.
Come on, Don. $9.99 for some of that DLC. Come on, Don. Come on, Donald.
Because the past couple of years, the legends at WrestleMania have been tied directly into the video game, and then on this particular ad, you see just Seth Rollins setting fire to all that stuff and breaking the $1 million belt and knocking the head off the Andre the Giant statue. So it seems like they're kind of saying, we're gonna make our own history or whatever now.
Well, Donald, for those people who want to actually see the legends get their revenge on Seth Rollins, they can do that for $59.99.
Yeah, I would like that because I'm gonna admit the second time I watched it, I liked it, but then the first time I watched it, I'm like an old school traditionalist fan, and I was getting my feelings about it. I was like,
No, you're not gonna set fire to Ric Flair's robe, though.
He did it. He committed arson, and that's a very WWE thing to do is arson. You know what I'm saying? Really, any crime in WWE, just like
arson, assault, all these things.
Yeah, attempted murder. WWE has done like so much crime on TV, man. It's like in the context of the WWE universe, there's just so much crime, and it's like they'll bring the police in. The police don't do anything. It's like, oh yeah, I want to report someone like an attempted murder. Someone tried to blow up Mr. McMahon. It's like, yeah. Big Show pushed a dumpster onto someone in a car.
Yeah. God. Let's see. Okay, so he goes on with his promo saying, "This cover is not my cover; it's our cover." That's a very good promo, actually, about making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, all this good stuff. And I was actually very enlightening. I was actually very enlightened. I really dug that promo. So then, of course, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, it's like a good promo for like if you just came into wrestling, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Seth Rollins learned his lesson, but even though someone said, oh yeah, I learned my lesson and stuff, a year later they're gonna be right back to doing the same shit.
Right.
So
yeah. Bray Wyatt interrupts. He cuts a spooky promo to banter for a bit. Bray actually comes out. When the lights come back up, Seth Rollins does a dive onto Bray, and that was pretty much it. Okay, so Charlie or Dasha.
What was cool about that was that Seth Rollins, somebody actually got the jump on Bray and used the lights out against him. That's the first
someone
time
actually used their head for the first time.
Yeah, where he
instead of just standing there.
Yeah, and they like headbutted, so like he busted Bray open, and Seth Rollins busted himself open. So
okay, so the interview robot, Charlie or Dasha or whoever this is.
Charlie Caruso. Please say the Caruso.
Why? Why do you have to say? Okay, explain that to me. Why do you have to say the Caruso?
She's hot.
So you have to say her own name.
Yes, make sure you give her all her respect. This is strictly for you, Sam. This is why we say that.
I honestly think I can't tell either one of the two apart. They both look exactly the same to me.
We know.
Okay, so while he's doing his interview, he's attacked by the goddamn drifter. The The purple ropes go up, and it's Akira Tozawa versus TJP. Titus comes out for some reason. He does the ring announcing for the match. The match went about 2 minutes before Neville came out and says he's there scouting Akira Tozawa. Tozawa wins with the senton bomb, and that's pretty much it. Titus blows smoke up Akira's ass. Neville has had enough. He admonishes both of them, saying if Tozawa continues to disrespect him, he will be annihilated. Titus eggs on both men, and that was pretty much it. Did they actually have their match on 205? I heard that they did.
Who?
I don't know.
Tozawa and
Neville?
no, yeah.
No, they didn't.
No, so it was somebody else. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so then more R-Truth BS. He quotes Batman, the part where Bruce Wayne confronts Joker with a fire poker. And in the middle of all this silliness, he accepts Goldust's invitation. So backstage, Curtis Axel is trying to hype Bo up. And I only have one question. Weren't these two feuding? The last time we saw these two, Bo Dallas took him out. Remember? Yeah, no one remembers this. I'm telling you, it happened. So Miz confronts the two men, asking them if they want to audition for the role of a lifetime. And let's see. I like how Miz says, "I'll be the Intercontinental Champion, and you'll be having a match with catering." He invites them to be part of his entourage, like he's Vinny Chase or somebody. Dasha interviews Joey Samoa. Joey rolls footage of the last. See, Don, you didn't even get. Are you asleep, Don?
Nope, I'm not. I'm here.
Okay.
You called her Dasha trying to be sneaky. I know. You just gotta let some things slide.
So she interviews Joey Samoa. Joey rolls footage of the last time he was in the ring with Roman. He ends by telling Roman to be careful what he asks for, and he walks off. And Charlie has a whatever dude look on her face. They really need to learn to take the camera off of them because they make some silly faces.
Oh, the camera work in WWE is just kind of it could be awkward at times.
Yeah, because it's like they always end with like them staring off into space.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking at?
And also like Money in the Bank, man, the camera work doing the Orton Magenta Hall is it Magenta Hall?
Gender, yeah.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal match. It was like, because there's been a thing about, he actually had to like respond to people saying he's using steroids or some shit.
Oh yeah, wasn't like the camera right on his back?
Yeah, the camera was on his back. Like it was like tight shots on his back several times during that match, and it's like the camera was doing him no favors at all.
Wow.
So.
All right, so Roman Reigns versus Joey Samoa, really great match. An ambulance appears, and it's Braun Strowman. And Roman is distracted, and Joe locks on the coquina clutch. Michael Cole, I noticed that Michael Cole at one point did the go to break voice, and we didn't go to break. That was amazing. So, how is this pushing Joe if he won by music playing? If he wins off of distraction, he better hope that music plays while he's wrestling Brock.
Well, he was handling his business. I think a lot of the work they needed to establish was in the promo at the beginning of the show when he didn't take the disrespect from Roman about his name, and he headbutted him and just went after him. I think that's all they needed to do.
Why didn't they just let them have their match and save the Braun Strowman return for like him wrestling someone else, someone who isn't going to be made to look cheap?
Because they can't let Roman. Because they can't let Roman lose straight up. They have to keep Roman in a position
have Joe
of
wrestle
strength.
Someone else.
Also, in that particular,
Joe wrestle at all. Let's just have Joe talk because Joe has the biggest match in WWE.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna do that, why even have it at all? But whatever.
I mean, they just wanted. I think they just wanted to like, I don't know. I guess like test the waters with it or something. But the other thing is that they have like a state ordinance from 1985 that there can't be any Joe on Joe violence and there can't be any Samoan on Samoa violence that escalates.
Right.
So
So the Miz does Miz TV. There's a giant gift in the ring and two bears. He calls down Maurice. The bears are holding up signs that say, "I'm sorry and please forgive me." Miz says that the two bears are the it couple of the bear community, which you could take that in so many ways.
Bear community, okay.
He apologizes for knocking her off the apron and destroying the grandfather clock. He gives her champagne. He says he got her a gift. He wants her to open it. He leads an open it chant. The gift is the same grandfather clock. And all the nights that he was in the doghouse, he spent them looking at YouTube videos on how to fix their. Those I bet those exist somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I'm sure somewhere there's a video that says how to fix your grandfather clock. So he fixed it, and she starts to buy it, of course, and it looks like the it couple is back together. But then here comes dumbass Dean Ambrose to fuck it all up. He comes out, he makes Maurice spill her champagne on herself. Miz tries to attack Dean, but he moves and Miz destroys the clock again. Maurice is beside herself. She hits Miz and leaves. No, she hits Miz and leaves, possibly for the last time.
You know what? When that happened, I had like turned my head from the screen, and when I looked back, it looked like Miz had like pulled Maurice in the way of him.
Mm-hmm. It's something he would do.
I'm like, that's what I thought happened. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's very Miz like.
So Dean hits the dirty deeds on Miz. The two bears attack Dean. They pull off their heads, and we see that it's Bo Dallas and the Axeman. And they all leave Dean lying. Nice.
He had to get a win eventually, you know. Because
Right.
I mean, he was like really in like Wile E. Coyote mode against Ambrose. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Wait.
So
good move for Kurt Axel and Bo Dallas though.
Yeah. Sheamus. Well, I mean, what else are they going to do?
I mean, yeah. But I'm like, you know, just being associated with Miz is kind of like a slow ticket to like future endeavor. So
I really want an explanation on why Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are buddies again. Like I'm telling you, he pounded him. He beat the crap out of him.
I think they bonded over catering, man. You know.
So they were probably like, well, you know, friends have their differences sometimes.
You know, cheese and crackers. I like the cheese and crackers too. You know. So they just bonded over that.
Right. Okay, so
they weren't doing anything else.
So Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Titus brand. Squash match. Nothing else. Nothing more to it. Okay, so Sasha versus Nia Jax. Alexa Bliss comes out for commentary. Emma confronts Alexa. She chases Alexa in the ring. Alexa hides behind Nia, but Nia grabs Alexa and throws her in front of her. Emma kicks at Alexa, but Alexa moves out of the way. Big brawl starts. Suddenly, Emma and Alexa start double teaming Sasha Banks. Becky and Dana come out, and now we just have confusion. I was completely confused. I had no idea what was going on here. So then Bayley comes out just to add to the confusion. To help her friends. A bigger brawl happens. The good guys end up with the upper hand at the end of it. So that was weird. So who's actually friends with who and who hates who? I have no idea what's going on.
You know what? I don't know. I know. Like I was like watching a live tweet with it too, and it was like a lot of people were like, "So we're not getting the women's match at all." It just seemed like they kind of wedged that part in there. Like I don't know.
Well, I think that the women's division, thanks to Nia Jax, they got heat. Because Nia has been very vocal on Twitter, but she's been telling the truth. But she has been vocal.
What's she been talking about?
Just that, you know, how SmackDown uses their women a lot better, how they, you know, let their women, you know, get multiple segments in the show. You know, there's been some hours of SmackDown where the women take the whole first hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, she's just, you know, she had gone on that streak where she hadn't been on TV in like 6 weeks, and she was just kind of venting. And then, you know what I'm saying? So she got on TV, but then it just seems like she has been even more vocal still. And then this week, it seems like they just, like you said, Swift, they just kind of wedged them into this little 7-minute block they gave them. And that was kind of like, this seems like diva territory all over again.
Yeah, it seems like they're doing like some diva stuff again, like back in the day.
Yeah, because you know, like it's like the show like slowly tapered off in that third hour and shit, like to the point that you were watching like a heat taping kind of, and it just kept going. I'm like, wow, this show is kind of like they should have put this
Well,
segment like earlier. They could have
you
did
haven't been
something better.
watching lately. It's like that every week. The
Oh,
third
okay. Well,
hour just kind of is just there.
you know what? When I was watching it though, it reminded me of when WWE used to be like when Raw used to be 2 hours, and the second hour was kind of like so, and then you'll have like the main event, like a main event angle at the end, but the actual main event match was like in the middle of the show. So didn't watch the first hour because it was that 20-minute wall of talking,
20 minute
and you were like,
talking. Yeah.
yeah, I could miss the first hour. You would miss that like the first half of the main event, the actual main event match and stuff.
Right.
So, you know that's kind of like how that's what it kind of reminded me. I was like, oh, this is for me. It's just 3 hours long now. But yeah,
Okay, so Kurt Angle comes out and everyone who was involved in the stupid crap. He has Big Show if he attacked Enzo and Cass. He says no, and he's even offended that Angle would even think that. And I don't know, maybe it has something to do with his 47 heel turns. Show pouts and says that maybe he shouldn't be on Kurt's show at all, and he leaves. Kurt asks the Revival if they attacked Enzo and Cass. They say no. Kurt just says okay, and that's the end of the investigation, which makes me think like, what?
He gave them more the benefit of the doubt, and
you did all this investigation, and that's all you had. You just asked them.
I'm telling you, man, they just threw this shit together. I mean, like Kurt Angle is just like Kurt Angle's investigation is just like when I was in high school and I realized, oh, I got homework to do like in next period, and I would just like do it then. That's Angle as an investigator. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I could put it off for a while. This is not an important case at all.
I mean, obviously he's not a good investigator. He didn't know Jeff Jarrett. Never mind.
You know, and then he was gonna like put it on Big Show, which I mean, in Kurt Angle's defense, you don't trust people who were in the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? But still,
right.
And NWO. So,
Don, did you get that little snap right there?
Yes, sir, I did.
Didn't really, bad investigator. So, of course, Corey Graves grabs the mic and mentions that he did his own investigation. He says the Cass was not attended to by WWE medical personnel. Someone mentioned that like this might have been like a jab at CM Punk. The whole like oh no, I got my own independent doctor or whatever. So
people read too much into the smallest things.
Yeah, but you know how petty Vince McMahon is. Come on.
I don't think Vince McMahon even worries about CM Punk these days.
He's like, you know what I'm going to do? Stephanie, come here. Let me run this by you. So anyway, he says he has footage to show, and I'm just wondering if since he had footage the whole time, why didn't he ever mention it to anyone? And he just kept it to himself. So the footage shows
waiting to see if Cass was going to be honest.
Come on. So the footage shows that Cass indeed attacked himself. He admits it and explains to Enzo that he is a loser and he runs his mouth too much. He's tired of fighting his battles for him, and he kicks him in the face, and that's pretty much your Monday Night Raw.
I actually like the footage. The footage was cracking me up. I'm like, oh man, this is bad. This is some bad staging, man.
Now, could you just imagine like them giving him direction, like while all this is going on? Like, okay, Cass, pick that up, and no, not that one, that one. Pick that up and put it down.
It's like you never committed a crime before, like that you had to look around. Like you look too obvious, man.
I'd like to send my condolences to young Littlefoot. I know that was a tough final segment for her. To see her, it's one thing to see Enzo get beat up by everybody on the roster, but it's another thing to see it happen by Big Cass. So my thoughts are out to young Littlefoot.
And I mean, he didn't just end like the team didn't just break up. He like hurt his feelings before he broke up the team, man. Like, that was unnecessary. But I will say that while I was like, okay, they're gonna break them up eventually because that's what WWE does. They break up tag teams like eventually. But you know, I was like, if there would have been like some kind of like huge stable that they were forming. Like because WWE's track record with stables are kind of like, but like my thing goes back to when the Steiners broke up. Like no one thought the Steiners were going to break up, but then it's like there's an opportunity for Scott like to move to the NWO and stuff. If they would have did that with like Enzo and Cass, it's like I don't know, man. But instead, it's just like, okay, we're gonna break them up right here in the middle of June, and we're gonna see what we're gonna do with it.
Did it seem like they did it for shock, or no?
Yeah, they did. I mean, it kind of. But again, it's like that whole third hour was just like a bunch of stuff that just seemed like I don't know, like okay, we're losing folks. So even though I'm sure they planned that out for some time and stuff, it was like
because it kind of reminds me of like when like the Varsity Club reunited in WCW, and then they all attacked Jim Duggan for no reason. That's what this was.
But like that whole third hour just it kind of reminds me of this before, but there's like this booking sim called Total Extreme Wrestling, and when you have like a whole roster of people and you book all your good stuff, you have like a bunch of leftover people, so you have to find something for them to do, and you're up here like just like okay, I'm gonna put all the women in one match. Oh man, I got a bunch of extra people. I got mostly heels in like one face. Okay, I'm gonna put them all in like one angle together and stuff. It's like that's kind of what this third hour was like. It's like they got all their good stuff out in the first 2 hours, and then they got all the leftover stuff they had to do something with.
Swift, did you watch Janela Spring Break? It was a show that happened over Mania weekend.
Did I watch what now?
It's called Joe Janela Spring Break.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so in that show, they had a bunch of leftover wrestlers that they weren't using.
Yeah.
So they basically put them in one huge battle royal, and they called it the clusterfuck.
Oh man!
And like Glacier was in, so weird.
Like, oh man, that's like the garbage plate.
Yeah, like Think was in.
It's like the garbage plate of like wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was a bunch of like nobodies and like a bunch of people you haven't seen in 20 years.
See, that's kind of thing I would enjoy. Like I enjoy like some people like to watch bad movies and commentate. I like to watch like really bad matches. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
it was great. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. I'm sure it was amazing. I'm just like the concept of it just sounds like.
I mean, it was horrible.
It's like
it was terrible.
Yeah,
but I loved it.
Yeah, like I enjoy like what was it? The main event to AWF. They did like that. You remember the pay-per-view AWF? At the end of it was like Kevin Nash and Ricky Morton did like a promo in the middle of a match.
Was this the show that was on Netflix?
I don't know.
Because it was like a huge like legend show that was on Netflix.
It was a legend show.
A bunch of people.
Yeah, because I think Kevin Nash was tagging with DDP.
It must have been it must have been the one that was on Netflix. I think I saw like 5 minutes of that.
Yeah. And then they like had the match, but the match it was nothing going on in the match, and they just held a promo in the middle of it and stuff. I'm like,
because they had nothing else to do.
Yeah, and then they finished the match. I'm like, okay.
God. So thoughts on Raw before we move on to NXT or SmackDown, whatever.
It was a good show. It was fun.
Yeah, I like 2 of the 3 hours.
Yeah, it bored me to death as usual.
Yeah, as usual. It never excites you except for like maybe once or twice a year.
Hey, I'm a very old school wrestling fan from way back. I'm of the Jim Cornette school of wrestling. Come on.
Yes, nothing makes you happy. All right. You are listening to the Wrasslecast. You can find us at cspn.us. You can also find us on the Wrasslecast.tumblr.com. You can also find us on Twitter at the Wrasslecast. You can also find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and Google Play. So we're going to get into SmackDown, as I'm going to take over for our SmackDown Matters correspondent, Didi Jonet, this week. So we start out with Tamina, Charlotte, Natty, and Becky, and they are all outside Dan Bryan's door. Bryan comes out and says he will heal them all out, but he also wants to hear what Carmella and Ellsworth have to say. So we start the show. Carmella and Ellsworth come to the ring for their promo. And Carmella says that she doesn't feel bad for how she won the Money in the Bank match. Carmella says that she's been overlooked. She gives basically, talks about all the girls in the division and all their attributes, and now that this is her time to be talked about. Charlotte and she basically, runs down how, Seth Rollins had help to win the Money in the Bank match, and just these various instances, and with these facts about, it's a no disqualification match, and so, everything is fair and square in her eyes. So then we go to commercial. We come back. We get Charlotte and Daniel Bryan in the back, and they're discussing the promo they just heard from Carmella and James Ellsworth. New Day comes out. They cut an in-ring promo on the Usos getting counted out at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Then we get a singles match between Jimmy Uso and Big E. Big E hits the big ending, and Big E gets the win. Next up, we have Daniel Bryan, and he's talking to Natty and Tamina to get their input on the ladies' Money in the Bank ladder match. Then we get Naomi backstage. She's cutting a promo on the issue going on with the Money in the Bank controversy when she gets interrupted by Lana. Lana challenges Naomi again, and Naomi accepts a title match for next week. Next, we have Randy Orton. He's doing a sit-down interview on his loss to Jinder Mahal. Randy says that things aren't over due to the way the Singh brothers and Jinder Mahal disrespected his father, Bob Orton. Then we have Dolph Ziggler versus Shinsuke Nakamura. They have a pretty decent back and forth match, with Nakamura finally hitting the Kinshasa, and he gets the win.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a little bit better than their Backlash match.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Nakamura starting to hit his stride. They need to not have him on TV so much, in my opinion. Keep the mystique and the aura and everything about him fresh. But that's just me.
Yeah, that's what they should do. This is the.
So next we have Daniel Bryan talking to Sami Zayn in the back about last night's Money in the Bank ladder match, and he grants Sami Zayn another match next week with Baron Corbin. Then they get approached by Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch starts to state her case to Daniel Bryan. She basically talks about how no matter how she does the right things, everybody that she goes up against cheats and takes shortcuts, and she knows it's coming, and it still doesn't, make it any easier for her to take. And she was really emotional. It was a very good Becky Lynch promo.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens comes to the ring. He states his case why he didn't win Money in the Bank, and then he issues an open challenge for his United States title. AJ Styles comes out to accept, and then Kevin Owens says he's only taking challengers from here locally in Dayton, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, American Alpha graphics pop up, and Chad Gable walks out. Chad Gable gets in the ring. Owens is like, hold on. I know for a fact that you're not from Dayton, Ohio. Chad Gable was like, yeah, I just moved. And he was like, really? When? He was like, today. And then he was like, okay, what's your address? And then the address that Chad Gable gave him was the actual address to the arena.
I actually like this. Like, the match was, but I actually liked this part right here. I'm like, please let someone just, like, every time they go to a new city, they're like, yeah, I just moved here.
So we get Kevin Owens versus Chad Gable U.S. title match. Chad Gable got a lot in here. He just went right after Kevin Owens. He hit him with like a series of gut wrench suplexes and a couple of deadlift Germans. And Chad Gable was a strong little SOB because he was handling Kevin Owens for a minute. But Owens hits the pop-up power bomb, and he gets the win. Retains his United States title. Next, the Hype Bros are in the back, and they're trying to get a tag team title match from Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan says that they can earn a title shot next week if they can beat the Usos. So now Daniel Bryan comes out to the ring to give his explanation on what he's going to do about the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. Calls all the women out and decides that next week they will have another women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The women then starts a brawl, which leads to Charlotte giving the natural selection to Carmella, and then Becky gives Carmella the disarmor, and Carmella is literally almost crying in the ring, which was a really good touch, really good heel touch for her. I liked it. I liked Carmella in this episode of SmackDown. Her promo was good, and then her getting this beat down was good too. So,
Man, I actually like this, and again, I had a mutual who was like, "Oh, she was robbed." I'm like, "Oh man, are you serious?" It was the same guy too. I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yes, yes, yes." And all the hashtags. I'm like, "Okay, you are dead serious, man." Okay.
Hey Don,
yes, sir.
remember we were talking about like the journey, like with Bret Hart or whatever. The long journey he took. A perfect example is Naomi.
Right.
She went from like, well, I mean, she was a star, kind of like in FCW and stuff. She was the first FCW champion, the first FCW women's champion, and then she wasn't like the actual NXT. She was like in that game show NXT. Like, did she ever do anything in like the NXT or no?
I don't know about the NXT. I think it was still FCW when she got moved up.
Yeah,
okay,
it was
yeah.
the
So then
FCW at the time.
yeah, so she started up as a freaking as a Funkadactyl. She got her first title shot. She got her first title shot actually with her first singles match because she won like a battle royal or something. She got a title shot against Eve, and since then she's been trying, and it's like what, almost 2 years later, 3 years later, she finally won that title. That's all.
All right. Next up, the modern day Maharaja Jinder Mahal versus Luke Harper in a non-title match. After Luke Harper hits the superplex, Baron Corbin's music hits, and he teases cashing in his briefcase. Harper gets a roll up on the distracted Mahal for a near fall. Harper hits a super kick, but then gets distracted by one of the Singh brothers. That allows Jinder to hit the Cobra Cut slam, and Jinder gets the win. Luke Harper, the crowd really pops for him. They're really behind him. They gotta find something for him, a gimmick or program, because I think they're missing out by not having this guy be a major player.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could find something because I mean, like SmackDown is kind of like in the same role that it was in the first the first brand split. To where it's like it's more flexible with their stars than like Raw. That has to be like, we need these particular stars because for whatever reason. But SmackDown could be like, they could make stars. You know what I'm saying? So they could do something with Harper. And like SmackDown has always been, the brand where you could like, okay, we could test these younger stars, and these older stars can get that last career push. So yeah, I think they could find something with Harper on SmackDown.
All right. Well, after the match, Randy Orton beats down Jinder and the Singh brothers. Orton gives Jinder the draping DDT on the floor, then gives each of the Singh brothers RKOs. He gives one an RKO on the outside, and then the other one tries to come off the top rope, and then he catches him. It kind of more like a stunner than an RKO, but nonetheless, it goes off with Randy Orton leaving Jinder and the Singh brothers all laid out. So that was your SmackDown matters for this week. A lot of people were disappointed they didn't get any fashion files on Tuesday night. So, but that was good though. Kind of, we got one on Sunday, so kind of keep it fresh. If you don't have time to do another one, don't show a rerun. So,
right.
But this was an okay episode of SmackDown. Basically building up to the next week, which is going to be a huge show with this ladies' Money in the Bank ladder match part 2. So
it went by. We'll see. It went by pretty fast too.
Yeah. SmackDown is a much as far as the pacing, it's paced very well, very well. One of the big things that came out of Talking Smack is Carmella and Ellsworth were on Talking Smack, and Daniel Bryan did announce that for next week's match, that Ellsworth will be banned from ringside. So that's something that he didn't say out in front of the crowd, but they did talk about it on Talking Smack.
Oh, that's good.
So next up, 205 Live. We got Rich Swann and Akira Tozawa. They're backstage when Titus arrives and tries to get Rich Swann to join the Titus brand. Titus says that before he can join, though, he's not the Weeknd. He needs to do something with his hair. So Titus then has a contract for Tozawa to sign to join the Titus brand. He wants to give Tozawa 5% extra on his merch sales. Tozawa refuses, and Titus says on Monday night he'll have a deal that Tozawa can't refuse. So Jack Gallagher versus Tony Nese. Nese lulls Gallagher in and runs him face first into the second turnbuckle. Nese follows up with the running knees and gets the win over Gentleman Jack. Pretty good match. Looks like they're trying to build Tony Nese up, give another heel in 205 Live. But unfortunately, it's at the expense of Gentleman Jack. Everybody likes Jack Gallagher. So he's on a little bit of a losing streak right now. Next up, Alicia Fox is on the phone with Noam Dar. Noam Dar is telling her that they should move on from Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander walks in, and Dar tells Cedric that he should quit 205 Live or else his life was going to be a living hell. Dar says that Cedric needs to get his bag out of the river. Then Cedric shows him his bag. Daivari then shows up, and it's his bag that cost $15,000 that Dar threw into the river. Drew Gulak versus Mustafa Ali. We have a video package followed by a Drew Gulak promo about making Ali and 205 Live better with no high flying in their match. So Mustafa Ali versus Drew Gulak. Mustafa Ali counters Drew Gulak's Boston Crab into a cradle, and Mustafa Ali gets the win. Aries and Gallagher have a backstage promo where Aries considers taking shortcuts like all of their rivals to get to the top. Aries declares that he has Gallagher's back from here forward, and Gallagher says that they have an accord. Rich Swann and TJP, they have a backstage interaction on their conversation from last week. Then Tozawa comes out as a guest of the Titus brand in his own VIP section, and he watches Rich Homie Swann versus Neville for the Cruiserweight title. Rich Homie Swann misses the Phoenix Splash, which allows Neville to lock on the rings of Neville, and Swann taps out. Neville then gets on the ropes, and he stares down Tozawa. And that was 205 Live. Like most episodes of 205 Live, really good main event. Austin Aries kind of interview with Gallagher, kind of teasing like he might go back to his heel ways, was really good. But for the most part, like we've been saying, it just suffers from the crowd not being into it. So
when do they tape 205 Live?
Right after SmackDown.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I remember like X-Pac was talking about you shouldn't, if you're gonna like do another show right after a larger show, don't take all that time to take the ring down so you could set up an entirely special set for this new show and stuff. Because then some people are just gonna up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's true, kind of. So
yeah, they're gonna have to make a change to it. Probably once it hits the year mark, they'll probably hit a reset point and come at it from a different angle. Hopefully,
yeah. It would help if they had more cruiserweights for them.
Yeah,
because
it would help. Go ahead.
I was about to say it's kind of like it's not like the division. It's kind of like a roster. I mean, not a roster, but a stable size. But it's not like a division. You know what I'm saying? It's not like division size. Like I know they're not trying to be like WCW's division, but it's a very WWE style division where it's like it's not a lot of people in this separate division and stuff. So kind of like they're doing like the women's divisions on both brands. they're not the biggest divisions when you like see who's in it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey, Don, on 205 Live, are the style and the class of matches on there the same like caliber as like you saw in the Cruiserweight Classic, or is it basically WWE style?
No, it's still WWE style. It's still
Oh,
the
so they,
same
they messed
old.
that up, huh?
Yeah, it's still the same old. Get in there, work a headlock. Then you might get two or three kind of nice spots. Then you get your rear chin
mhm.
lock, and then you get your closing spot, and then you go home.
See, so that's probably why people aren't into it. Like, because they're probably like, we just saw this stuff. Now you're just doing it with smaller dudes.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing that I think hurts if they're not gonna let them do it the way they did it at the Cruiserweight Classic. Is that, hey, guess what? I can watch Kevin Owens do a dive. I can watch Dean Ambrose do a dive. I can watch Luke Harper do a dive. I can watch Finn Balor come off the top rope. You see all these guys doing this stuff now, so it's not as doesn't have the novelty that it had when the first time you saw Rey Mysterio, or the first time you saw Eddie Guerrero, or Chris Benoit, or
Mhm.
Chris Jericho, Ultimo Dragon, and these guys that you didn't see that style. Everybody was wrestling main event, grab a hold, work a hold, body part, go to your finish, couple of hot spots here or there, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden these guys are on WCW Nitro first match, and it's just like ping pang bow, boom bang zang, and it's like, oh man, these guys are the best.
Yeah. And also,
When fast,
they didn't give them like a dedicated show. They didn't have like a dedicated show for cruiserweights. They were like integrated as part of the whole
right,
show and stuff. And really, it was like the first hour was just cruiserweights and TV title stuff. You know what I'm saying?
right, and then
So
you fast forward 20 years. Well, now, you know, guys who weighed 165 pounds, 175 pounds were doing all the crazy dives and topes and suicide dives and whatever else, tornado DDTs. Now you fast
yeah,
forward 20 years. Now the guys that weigh 255 pounds are doing the same thing. So it's not, there's no novelty to it anymore.
yeah.
So
Thanks, Mike.
unless
Awesome.
Yeah, unless unless you're watching New Japan Best of Super Juniors, or watching their cruiserweight division, or you go back and watch the CWC where it was more of a sports presentation. It wasn't all about angles. It was about, hey, get out here and go balls to the wall, and everybody's gonna get their best moves in.
Hmm.
Whatever your best three or four moves are, you're gonna get them in the context of the match. And it goes for each person. Yeah, Cruiserweight Classic was the ish, but
And really,
just hasn't transferred.
the cruiserweight classic was the first time WWE ever got lighter heavyweight wrestlers right to me, because they tried the same thing like when WCW had like their cruiserweights. They was
Mm,
like thing too, and they had like the Great Sasuke, and it was like it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this great division. Then of course, Great Sasuke said he was gonna shoot and take the belt back to Japan and stuff, so they had to cut him. But but it's like they had a division, and then eventually like all those wrestlers in that division just kind of like they weren't doing anything with the light heavyweight title for real, just like
hmm.
and then they tried the same thing with the WWE cruiserweight title, and it was still like no. And at that same time, you had TNA doing great things with the X division, so it's like
Well, the WWE or F whatever, like around '87, they did have a cruiserweight tournament, which really wasn't. It wasn't
mhm.
really great, just because it turned into a vehicle for Brian Christopher to get over, which was really stupid.
Yeah, yeah. And Brian Christopher wasn't. I mean, when you had Taka Michinoku and the Great Sasuke, and then you got Brian Lawler there, it's like, eh, you know,
Yeah, like
because
they
he
had a
was
bunch of
defending.
international dudes on there. They had like Japanese wrestlers and some luchadors on there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. But like the main star, like they made the biggest deal out of getting Taka Michinoku and stuff. They had like a little press conference about it. So, but you had Brian Lawler, who was like he was light heavyweight champion in Memphis, but Memphis didn't have a lot of light heavyweights to begin with. So I don't know. I mean, and he wasn't really up to that same kind of caliber or anything with like those international stars they were bringing in for the division
Right.
that they didn't keep. So, so never really got it right with those lighter heavyweight wrestlers anyway. So, I mean,
Yeah,
except with the cruiserweight classic, they got it right. It was like, I'm proud of you, Dada. You finally got it right, and then they do this with 205 Live.
yeah,
You,
that was a it's basically Triple H by himself versus Triple H with Vince's supervision. And that's basically the difference in the two shows.
mm-hmm.
So, gonna move into NXT, where we start off hot. We have Peyton Royce versus Ember Moon. Ember runs Peyton into the middle turnbuckle. Then Ember heads up top and hits the Eclipse and gets the win. Everybody knows how I feel about Peyton Royce. She is the next big thing to me in my eyes in WWE Women's Division. It's a really good matchup with Ember Moon. Ember gets some revenge. Um, they've been kind of picking at her and giving her a hard time since she's been injured. So just told a good story, gives Ember Moon another win, and she gets back on track on her, final destinations of facing Asuka finally again for the title. So looking forward to that match. Hopefully they will have that at Takeover Brooklyn. Next, we have Cassius Ohno backstage. He's doing a promo with Hideo Itami. Hideo apologizes for his actions a couple of weeks ago, and Brothers versus Sanity, Eric Young and Alexander Wolf. The win. We get a recap of the brawl between Asuka and Nikki Cross, and then that's going to lead to the announcement of a last woman standing match between Asuka and Nikki Cross next week. Next, we get a Sonya Deville vignette. Sonya Deville, she has like an MMA gimmick, and her little catchphrase is "Put your hair up and square up."
Oh,
So she wrestles Rachel Evers, Paul Ellering's daughter, versus Sonya Deville. Deville grabs the arm and puts Evers in the hoverboard lock, or the double wrist lock, or Kimura, has many names, and Rachel Evers gives up. Sonya Deville, she has a very good look. The MMA thing, I mean, she's gonna go far just because she has the style. She looks really believable. She's just got to get her timing a little bit better. But I can see, this character going far. Next, they show a video where Bobby Roode and Roderick Strong get into a brawl at a Bobby Roode photo shoot. During the pull apart, Roode tells Strong that if he wants a shot at the title, he can get that anytime and anywhere. And then they announce in 2 weeks, on the 400th episode of NXT, that Roddy Strong will face Bobby Roode for the NXT title.
mm.
Next up, main event, Cassius Ohno versus Aleister Black. Really good match. They go back and forth. This is the first match that Aleister Black has really had that wasn't a squash match. Cassius Ohno goes for his roaring elbow, but it gets countered by Aleister Black when he hits the black mass, and he beats Cassius Ohno. Aleister Black is the next guy in WWE. This dude is fantastic. He hasn't cut a promo yet, but he doesn't even need to. The mystique of him just being a guy who just goes out there and whips people's ass is all he needs right now. And yeah, sky is the limit for this dude. I don't know how much of NXT you watch Swift, but if you're into British wrestling, he's Tommy End is Aleister
Okay.
Black.
All right. I'm familiar with Tommy.
Yeah, man, he the his character in NXT is so good. He's kind of like a dark, sinister type of guy, and all he does is just go out here and beat people up. He hasn't had one interview or anything like that. He's just, wrestled squash matches. And then, like I said, this match against Cassius Ohno was like his first step up into a little bit better competition on NXT. And they had a hell of a match. I mean, Chris Hero, he's gained some weight from, his first run here in WWE, but I mean, he can still go.
Yeah.
And they put on a hell of a match. So, Sam, you want to take over the little bit of Lucha Underground with me?
I didn't write any notes, so when I did look at it.
I got you.
I saw that Phoenix and your girl were out, smooching.
Yeah, out here gallivanting. Melissa and Phoenix. Phoenix pulls up his Trans Am. When he gets out of the car, Melissa's there. They have a little interaction. Basically, Melissa gives Phoenix incentive to win the Credo Cup. And
old Marty the Moth. And I was picturing you in that role right there, just getting so aggravated.
Picturing me being aggravated at Marty the Moth.
No, at Melissa Santos, like, in Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
Hey, man.
Yeah, so Marty the Moth is out here being all stalkerish. He's lurking up in the, rafters, kind of looking down on him.
Which is kind of funny, because stop being stalkerish is like the tamest thing he does.
So we had all the matches tonight are going to be Credo Cup matches. So just so I don't have to say that for every match, we have Vinny Massaro versus Cage. Cage hits the Steiner screwdriver to get the win over Massaro. After the match, Cage takes the Nintendo Power Glove and busts open Massaro, and then he chokeslams Massaro onto the floor.
I was kind of annoyed, like they were making like Italian food references with Massaro.
Well,
that was kind of annoying.
Matt Striker, man. What do you think about the Power Glove?
It's so rad.
No, it's so bad. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad. No, I'm like, he still has that thing?
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
Well, he's figuring out how to use it now.
Oh, yeah, he killed poor Lorenzo Lamas.
Yeah, he just mutilated his head last week. So we have another training video of Rey Mysterio and Johnny Mundo as they're getting ready for their title match at Ultima Lucha. Then we get Marty the Moth versus Salvador. Salvador gets a near fall and starts to dance.
He's one of the former crew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I think he was the pudgy one. I think that's him.
He gets a near fall and he starts to dance. That allows Marty to hit a double underhook into a gutbuster, and Marty the Moth gets the win. Masagrita Sagrada is working out backstage. Sir, I don't know how many times I'm going to allow you to disrespect the Bliss Gates champ that way.
Hey, she's poor. Hey, she's getting a double paycheck. I'm just saying.
But anyway, Sagrada is working out, and the Rabbit Trap comes in to worship him.
Oh, another thing. That's another thing I was going to mention. When Salty came out, that other dude, the checker dude, I don't know his name yet. The guy that was fighting, that was wrestling Marty the Moth.
Oh, the guy who was wrestling Marty the Moth is...
He's from the Rabbit. He's from the Rabbits. Or whatever.
Yeah, Salsador.
Yeah, I noticed it, like their theme is kind of like a knockoff of the White Rabbit song.
Right. Yeah, that's what their whole thing is supposed to be about.
It's kind of like, because they're basically playing the same tune over and over, but it's the little tune from that song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they're ripping off of, White Rabbit. So they show Marty backstage with this stalker wall full of pictures of Melissa Santos. Mariposa comes in.
Now, how does it rival your wall of Melissa Santos pictures? Does it come close?
No, Marty's got to be beat, man.
All right.
Yeah. So Mariposa comes in and tells Marty that his lust has made him weak. Mariposa tells Marty that when she wins her match, they will wrestle next and she will hurt him. Then they slap each other, and this segment kind of ends awkwardly.
Those two were like super awkward because didn't she tie him up at the end of at the end of the mid, like right before the mid break?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those two are like into some weird stuff.
Next, we have Pindar versus Masagrita Sagrada. Sagrada gets hit with the super kick by Pindar. Pindar follows that up with the pop-up X Factor, and Pindar gets the win. Next, our main event, Phoenix versus Mariposa. Phoenix hits the Phoenix driver, and he gets the win. After the match, Marty comes down to attack Phoenix, but Phoenix clears the ring and then wipes out Marty and Mariposa with a dive. And that is your episode of Lucha Underground for this week.
I don't know why, but I'm always reminded, like every time I see Melissa, I'm reminded of that time that she was in the ring doing the announcing, and then someone comes barreling in, and she's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Who was that?
I think that might have been Pentagon.
That was so funny because she was out of there.
Yeah, man. Melissa's the best part of this show at various points in times. I really enjoyed the Creepcast moment here. The white lacy dress she had on. Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, Lucha Underground back in the mix. Credo Cup moving right along. So headed towards Ultima Lucha. This Rey Mysterio Johnny Mundo match is gonna be fantastic. I can't wait to see what they come up with.
Is that next week or is that tonight?
No, it's still a few weeks away.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Want to see that.
Yeah, it'll be the end of the season before they get to that milestone. So, anything else you want to talk about? Best in the World, Christopher Daniels, Cody Rhodes.
Didn't see. I haven't seen anything.
No, it's this weekend. It's coming up.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's coming up. Ring of Honor has their Best
in the
World
have to
coming on.
See that by other means, but yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, should be fun. Gonna be a big couple of weeks here for Cody Rhodes.
Sail the 7 seas.
Yeah, he's gonna wrestle for the ROH title this weekend, and then next weekend he's gonna wrestle for the IWGP heavyweight title in Long Beach against Okada. So
I think he's gonna beat Daniels because I really didn't see Daniels holding that belt for too long.
Maybe not. I think that Christopher Daniels has been surprisingly has gotten over surprisingly well as champion. I think that people have been waiting a long time for him to actually get the belt. Yeah, they may want him to, hold on to it for a little bit longer than like a month. Month and a half. So, but we'll see. It should be very good though. That match, they had a really good build to the to the last match they had with the triple threat match. So this should be just as good.
All right. Is there anything else before we finish up here?
We're gonna be watching Glow as a family.
Oh yeah. Have you gotten a situation yet, or do I need to pass you?
No, I need to get that situated.
Okay.
Yeah. So
check your DMs later on.
Okay, so Jupiter Julep. If you guys follow her, she is trying to organize the live tweet of the Glow. She wants to. This podcast is going to come out on Friday, so as of Friday, she wants to watch like 4 episodes Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Starting at like 8, I guess they're 30-minute episodes. I'm not sure how long the shows are. Just kind of.
Just anybody that's listening, go watch the Glow documentary on Netflix first before you watch the show.
Yeah, and then we'll be you'll see our hashtags. We'll make an announcement. We'll come up with something for y'all to chime in because it's gonna be a big deal. Everybody's been looking forward to this show.
All right. So I guess if there's nothing else, we'll do some shout outs. Oh, Don, how disappointed are you that JoJo hasn't updated her Instagram since that news came out?
Yeah, man, it has been rough. The cameraman I forgot what match it was. The guy was on the floor and he was shooting directly looking at JoJo, and he was doing his best to kind of keep her out the frame, and I was like, no, keep that camera on JoJo. But
she used to tweet. She used to post every Monday night, like what she was wearing. Yeah.
Yeah, every Monday in pay-per-view, and yeah, ever since the Bray Wyatt news, yeah, it's just gone dry. So we haven't had any new photos to say yes to JoJo to. So it's been unfortunate. Hopefully, things will die down here, and she'll get back to posting and looking fabulous, and we can appreciate her.
Okay, so there's nothing else. We'll let our guests do some shout outs first.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I ain't got no shout outs, man. No shout outs to speak of.
No. All right. All right, Don.
Well, we'll give a shout out to our SmackDown Matters, the lovely Miss Didi Jonay. Hopefully she gets back safe and sound. Shout out to you, Greg. Give a shout out to Sam right here, my host in the big chair every week. Give a shout out to our guest, Swifty, coming on. Thank you, man.
Oh, thanks.
Good chopping it up with you. Like I said, give a big shout out to everybody who joined us this weekend for Moneycast Holes, and also for Rawcast and for SmackDown Matters. Give a big shout out to Jade to the Max. She's back, safe and sound from being Mrs. International, and out
with
here,
the passport, right?
Yeah, out here doing things in the world, helping the world be a better place. Give a shout out to all the ladies in the Glow who are excited to watch Glow. And if there's anybody else, Classic, and everybody at CSPN. Big shout out to Mel and Siege. They teasing me over the weekend that they might be coming back with a good and terrible show. So don't be playing with my emotions, you two. Y'all need to do it. And shout out to my Cast of Strong Style co-host, JPK Moto. We did release our latest episode where we reviewed Dominion, and we talked about Kenny Omega and Okada Part 2, and we previewed the G1 special that is coming up July 1st and July 2nd in Long Beach, California.
Hey, Don, did you see my rendition of Bailey singing Same OG, or just Same Bailey?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was during, because she mentioned I think it was like on last week's Raw or something, that she's just the same Bailey or something, and I'm like, oh, that's like same OG. Yeah, I was like, even though I came from NXT and now I be on TV, I'm still that same Bailey. All right, so I'll give my shout out. Shout out to Lady Nikki, of course. Shout out to AJ Pereira out there keeping me in stitches over there on Twitter. Let's see, who else can I shout out here?
See, man, now I want to do some shout outs.
Okay, well, go ahead, man. Go for it.
Oh, okay, my bad. I want to give a shout out to La Katrina X on Twitter. She's like she's like a mind for women's wrestling in Japan and stuff. Ali023 also on Twitter. Me and him started watching Japanese wrestling like around the same time and stuff. Shout out to the guys of Blurs Online, and a shout out to Kami DJM. He's someone I can argue with wrestling about. He's more into the modern wrestling, and I'm more into the old school wrestling, and it's on like ideology, but And shout out to you guys for having me on, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let me do my shout out. Shout out to Lady Nikki, of course. Shout out to AJ Pereira out there, keeping me in stitches. She's actually going to be in the on this year's Rise show, so hopefully we will get to see her soon doing some stuff out there. Let's see, who else am I shouting out? Shout out to, what is this person's name? Damn it. Oh, shout out to iWalkless. He put me onto this like really cool vlogger girl. Her name is Sons Bookish Games. She's a UK vlogger. Don, you should check her out.
Okay.
You should check out her Twitter because yes, all the way. Let's see. Shout out to Classic, of course. Shout out to all of you guys. Shout out to our guests for coming on with us tonight.
Thanks.
And that's it. We will. Unless anyone has anything else, we will see you next week. Peace.
See you.
All right, done. Run upstairs. Swift, you did good. Was this your first time on a podcast?
No, I was on